But then, it started getting weird on me. Yes, even weirder than booger-flicking timekeeping and 1 in 3 gum clapping. How weird? Yes, Han, what now? No, absolutely not. I am not going there. Well, okay, but if you turn out to be wrong, your cuticles are getting macerated again. It's nothing personal. Okay. Hi, I'm Andee Joyce. I'm going to be doing some selections from my show called Rhythm and Autism, for which I supply both the rhythm and the autism. The backing track that you were about to hear in a few minutes, I played all the instruments on. So, you may be wondering, rhythm and autism. The autism I've known about probably less than a third of my life. A rhythm? Well, this is not a Photoshop. This is me, 5 months of age, on my grandparents' plastic-covered sofa in Brooklyn, New York, reading the March 7th, 1964 issue of TV Guide. Reading. I can't imagine what I thought I was looking for. As soon as I could sit up, they plopped me in front of a TV and then carried me off to East Islip, Long Island in the late 1960s. A place as white bread as could be. And every night music poured out of that console, walnut grain cathode ray tube monstrosity that lost reception when you moved an inch away from 7:30 to 8:30. Musical variety. In case you're not old enough to remember or you have blissfully forgotten, musical variety shows circa 1970 didn't have a whole lot of musical variety in them as such. Mostly they were about over 30 white guys like Andy Williams and Ray Stevens singing the pop and rock hits of the day. Most of it was recorded on videotapes that later got erased. Even then, they didn't think these shows would stand the test of time. The changing of taste. And I don't know if there's a way to scientifically measure such things or not, but it is possible that Andy Williams was the normiest normie who ever normied. And the big running joke on his show is that his guests always used to snark at him, "Andy, you're weird." The joke, of course, being that he was the only normal person on Earth. Is that even a thing? Andy, you're weird. Andy, you're weird. Andy, you're weird, 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 weird. And then there was the clap and sway. I could not get enough of that. I realize that we are in entirely the wrong time signature for that right now, and I apologize. They weren't clapping to waltzes on TV even then. Well, maybe they did on the Lawrence Welk show, but I never watched that, so don't quote me. Anyway, I wouldn't have cared if the time signature was 136.6 over 13. I wanted to be there, not here, on this rug. The bad dog who ate everybody's work shoes. I wanted people who would sway with me and love it, like I did. Even if it was to Andee Williams singing Creedence Clearwater Revival with those variety show Vegas cheese arrangements. Strings, horns, soprano backup singers. There are surviving little bits of this on YouTube that look like someone aimed a home movie camera at their console cathode ray, walnut grain, booby tubey, and filmed it. I swear I didn't hallucinate it. Andee, you're weird. Andee, you're weird. Andee, you're weird, 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 weird. We never set foot in a religious institution ever, but I felt those rhythms everywhere, like those Pentecostal church ladies speaking in tongues on Sunday morning, who I didn't even know about yet. But at least they weren't doing it all by themselves, and they had Jesus for an excuse. I, on the other hand, could tell no one. I was in enough trouble already, even though I hardly ever spoke to anyone, or maybe because I hardly ever spoke to anyone. Andee, you're weird. Andee, you're weird. Andee, you're weird, 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 weird. Autism, contrary to what you might have heard, has always existed. Things exist before they are defined and redefined. I am reasonably certain subatomic particles existed before the 19th century. When they looked at me, all they saw was a chubby little girl sucking her thumb and turning the pages of a library book, although never with the same hand as the thumb I was sucking. I'd never do a library book dirty that way. But the noise coming from me was deafening. I was a Gulfstream 25 jet buzzing the roof of our house with my thumb and my library book and the walls I kept bumping into and the big toe I kept stubbing. I was sure I had broken it every single week.
Andrea, go to your room. I don't want to hear your voice again for the rest of the week.
I soon figured out that my room wasn't the worst place to be. A door that closed and locked? Yes, please. So, I went inside my room and I closed and locked the door. And I sat on my bed and I tried to picture myself as a tap dancer on one of those variety shows. But I had stupid feet that couldn't keep a beat. I would never be a professional dancer, but my hands were another matter entirely, a whole different part of me. Yes, my hands were weird, polyrhythmically weird. I learned to make hand sounds nice and soft, so I wouldn't tip the grown-ups off. There were no loopers then. I had to mix it in my head. The soft claps, knee pats, and finger snaps, all mixed up like this. So yes, I was one of those autistic kids who was a compulsive body percussionist. A girl body percussionist. Scary. And as this groove flooded my mind, I found myself swaying from side to side and softly putting my hands together like this. Yes, I did it on one because they taught me that in whiteness class. And then I did it some more because I couldn't not. Just tapping my fingers like this on my palm made me feel strangely peaceful and calm. I love the feeling of my hands touching, even if I was the only one who ever felt that way in the entire history of opposable thumbs. I want you to feel how this feels. Try just silently putting your fingers on your palm like this, just like that, like I used to. It feels really good. You might irrationally like it. Like that. And I thought, what if other people like to do this too? Stranger things happen in this world. I know they do. Waltz schmaltz, this ain't no waltz. This is the stuff my hands do, and that's not my fault. Yes, yes, I know I'm weird, and weird's not a good thing to be around here, but I know one day you'll see other people will be doing this with me, and I don't mean to embarrass you, but if you think about it, would any of us even be here if no one was weird? I'm sorry.
Andrea!
Could they ever understand these things I did with my hands? Or was being me gonna ruin all their plans? Wait a minute, my hand has something it wants to say to me. It does that sometimes. Yes, hand, what is it? What couldn't wait? Right. My hand says that. I got so caught up in talking about clapping that I almost forgot to do that song that I wrote about flapping with an F, since flapping is literally the sound of one hand clapping. And I will sometimes do it in places where it would be disruptive to clap, like under a table behind my desk. It's on topic. All right, I'll allow it. My hand also says that if watching me do this makes you want to flap too, there's nothing to be ashamed of. That's right. This is the stuff my hands do when I get a chance to sing for you. This is the stuff my hands do when I feel it hard, I gotta let it loose. Yeah, this is the stuff my hands do when I get a chance to sing for you. This is the stuff my hands do. And if you feel like it, then do it too. Or don't. Just saying. Anyway. No more fingers in my mouth. No more chewing on my nails. No more spending all my days feeling like I am in movement jail. This is the stuff my hands do. And who do I harm if that's true? This is the stuff my hands do. They're here to show you something new. Here to show you something new. Here to show you something new. This is the stuff my hands do. Woo! Thank you, hand. That was very relaxing. Okay. Hydration. So in my show, Rhythm and Autism, I talk a lot about an entity that I came to know late in life as the clappy monster. This came to me when I least expected it and changed my relationship with music and other people forever. So, the clappy monster? I'm not a nostalgic person, or at least I wasn't, but during the early days of the pandemic, even I was having pangs for wanting to live in any other time but the present. Perfectly understandable, right? I mean, it's not like I spent huge chunks of the pandemic comparing lip-sync versions of Kathy's Clown by the Everly Brothers from 1960 and 1964 just because of the clapping. I never do things like that. was some other giant superannuated weirdo in purple pigtails. But that giant superannuated weirdo in purple pigtails told me that in 1960, the almost all-white audience was literally instructed to clap on the downbeats, 1 and 3, and visibly chew gum at the same time, because the sponsor of the show is Beechnut Gum, and Dick Clark, the host, was put on Earth to make rock and roll less threatening to white parents so their kids could buy more records. It looked kind of like this. I guarantee you all that no matter what you do for the entire rest of your days, you will never, ever, ever look that undignified. And later on in the 1960s, there were these other music TV shows like Chivalry and Where the Action Is, where the kids were doing these hand-wiggling things on 1 and 3, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I thought maybe that was some 1960s dance step like The Jerk, but I looked it up and The Jerk was more like this. This looked more like they were trying to shake off a booger. How could I not find that fascinating? Isn't it nice when all the giant superannuated weirdos in purple pigtails share data with each other? Okay, all yaks aside, when I first started binging on these silly old lip-sync videos, I was thinking, well, this is harmless fun, right? And we need that now, right? But then, it started getting weird on me. Yes, even weirder than booger-flicking timekeeping and 1 and 3 gum clapping. How weird? Yes, Han, what now? No, absolutely not. I am not going there. Well, okay, but if you turn out to be wrong, your cuticles are getting macerated again. It's nothing personal. Okay. So, my hand says I have to talk about the social stuff, which means I have to tell you all about the David Gates thing. I had, when I was young, a brief fixation on a band called Bread, and during a 1978 concert that they filmed for the BBC, David Gates, their lead singer, invited the studio audience to clap along with them. And then he said, but if you're watching at home, you better not clap your hands, because if anybody walks in and sees you, they're gonna put you away. Yeah, David, don't I know? Back in the day, they actually did put people like me in scary places like special schools and whatnot, so that we wouldn't mix with the normal kids, or at least the ones who could pass. From a very young age, I knew what job one was. Never let anyone find me out. Therefore, I'm increasingly of the opinion that all children should have acting lessons, starting in kindergarten. Because it was right around there that a friend of my parents asked me, "How are you?" And I said, "I have a stomach ache." I was told that that was the wrong answer. The correct answer was, "I'm fine, how are you?" So I said, "But why would anybody ask if they already know the answer?" They still haven't told me. You seen me around this place once or twice, and you talked to me, and you thought I seemed nice. So when you see me, you stop, and you ask me, "How are you?" Well, that's a question with no answer, and we're all supposed to lie. But no one ever believes me, even though I try to say I'm doing great, but not so great, you can't relate. So from now on, if you ask me, this will be my reply. Well, since you asked, I sleep like Elvis, and I sing like a Siamese cat, and I probably should be doing the opposite of that. And I never did fit in, not even in a loony bin. And how are you? How are you? How are you? Oh. And by the by, I stunk up building self-esteem and I flunked serenity. So how are you with breathing next to someone like me? I don't want to be scary to talk to, just scary to abuse. And how are you? How are you? How are you? I don't know. When I was little, I think if somebody had told me they had a stomach ache, my answer would have been something like, "Really? How bad is it?" Because that could be a sign that something was really wrong, right? So I started thinking, if words don't actually mean things, then why don't we all just talk in meow language all the time, like we're all in a cat food commercial? No language barriers ever. Everybody speaks meow. Yes, you see, everything is theater, which is why the holistic world needs autistic people. We dissolve BS on contact. But first, they gotta let us in the door. Just kidding. I'd never say that out loud. I'd rather you thought I was one of the crowd. Isn't that the whole reason people ask, how are you? Oh gods. How am I what? How is my what? There's 3 seconds to sort through all the data I've got to find one thing you'd find fascinating. But I'd be fascinated, believe it or not. Someone said, well, I sleep like Elvis and I sing like a Siamese cat, and I probably should be doing the opposite of that. And I never did fit in, not even in a loony bin. And how are you? How are you? How are you? Oh, and by the by, I stunk up building self-esteem and I flunked serenity. So how are you with breathing next to someone like me? I don't want to be scary to talk to, just scary to abuse. And how are you? How are you? How are you? Hand me the mustard, I think I'll fly a kite. Thank you. So I got one more to do. This is actually an outtake from Rhythm and Autism. I hated to cut this song. It's always been a favorite of mine. But it just didn't fit into the script, and I had to trust that its time would come again, because it's got a story all its own. And it's called Can't See a Thing, but I know it's there. I can hear it, feel it, taste it everywhere. That game was rigged. I knew it all along. I might be crazy, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. Back when I was the size of a fire hydrant, I asked, could I play? And they said, no, you can't. But Lord, I was stubborn, wouldn't accept a no. So they said, if you really want to, then let's go. And they gave me a blindfold, taped bricks to my legs, laid out a 10-mile path of Fabergé eggs. Then they said, now walk backwards, relax and have fun, but we'll have to kill you if you step on one. But my other senses told me, even though I couldn't see, no one else got bricks or blindfolds but me. And I can't see a thing, but I know it's there. I can hear it, feel it, taste it everywhere. That game was rigged, I knew it all along. I might be crazy, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. I know my eyes have tricked me so many times, watching myself commit imaginary crimes. I saw love in people's faces when all they felt was hate, and I saw hate when they thought I was great. It was like whenever I was dying of thirst, I'd see a cold drink machine, and I'd get out my purse. Then I'd put in my money, watch it pull back the coil, and then spit out a bottle of motor oil. And when I told them, they said, with all your senses always cranked up to 13, how could you know what really came out of that cold drink machine? I can't see a thing, but I know it's there. I can hear it, feel it, taste it everywhere. That game was rigged, I knew it all along. I might be crazy, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. Gonna tell it to the hands, that's right. Tell it to the hands, yeah, whoop. there was my hand again, doing the flapping thing, making the flapping happen on camera. Yes, my hand would like to thank you for watching and listening, and thank Voices of the Community for having me on. And my hand would also like you all to know that if you do feel like clapping your hands at home, nobody's going to take you away. So go for it. That's right, they say people like me have empty souls and no heart and blank little minds. We can't make art, but finally someone, believe me, said what they said wasn't true, but you can't do it like them, you gotta do it like you. And that's when I grew to believe that it was real, that I was real, I wasn't faking. Grew to believe in all the gorgeous things I could be making. Grew to believe it, grew to believe it, grew to believe me, grew to believe me, yeah. And now I know exactly what all this is for, 'cause now it doesn't matter anymore. Oh, that's right. If I can't see a thing, 'cause I know it's there. I can hear it, feel it, taste it everywhere. That game was rigged, I knew it all along. I might be crazy, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. That game was rigged, I knew it all along. I might be crazy, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. No, 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 no. Thank you. My name is Andee Joyce. If you want to know more about me and the noises that I make, come to rhythmandautism.com. Tubi and filmed it. I swear I didn't hallucinate it. Andee, you're weird. Andee, you're weird. Andee, you're weird, 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 weird. We never set foot in a religious institution ever, but I felt those rhythms everywhere, like those Pentecostal church ladies speaking in tongues on Sunday morning, who I didn't even know about yet. But at least they weren't doing it all by themselves, and they had Jesus for an excuse. I, on the other hand, could tell no one. I was in enough trouble already, even though I hardly ever spoke to anyone, or maybe because I hardly ever spoke to anyone. Andee, you're weird. Andee, you're weird. Andee, you're weird, 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 weird. Autism, contrary to what you might have heard, has always existed.